Hi, I'm Heather from Arrow, and today we're going to show you how to build our Bandicoot cabinet. The cabinet will arrive at your house in 3 separate boxes, and the cabinet itself just comes in teak. Some of the features of the Bandicoot are it does have an airlift system, so it'll move up and down with the press. So you can go all the way down to storage, all the way up into free arm, and down into flatbed. The door does feature some storage. You'll have thread spindles at the top, bins on the bottom. There's also some shelving inside for fabric or books. And when the unit closes up, it's very compact. For assembly of your Bandicoot, we do recommend that you have a Phillips head screwdriver number 2. If you've got a short-handled one too, it'll be helpful because there's one cam that's difficult to get to. A hammer, definitely an electric screwdriver with that Phillips head, and a can of WD-40. In step 1, part 1, you want to gather up your A panel, your V1, your V2, your X and your Z, as well as your bags full of your C1 cams. And they look like this. They're the gold with the black plastic tip on them. And you're going to insert them into panel A. There are 8 of them, so you'll notice placement here. Don't confuse that. And notice too, there's a bigger hole, and then there's a hole that has a metal fitting into it, and you're going to go into the metal fitting, not into this larger hole, which will be for a dowel later. So 8 in A panel. On V1, it's just going to be on the edge here. There's 3 of them. Same thing for V2, it's those 3. Moving down to G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on G. On X, you're going to have these 4. And then on Z, you'll have 2. On step 1, part 2, you're going to gather your wood dowels in your D1 bag. And we want you to notice something here. This is your D1. It's a short, fat one. You don't want the long, skinny one. So move this out and get these. So on your panels D, Z, X, Y, O1, and O2, this is where you're going to put your wood dowels. The other thing that you want to look at is the placement of the wood dowel. There is going to be a cam here, and in front of the cam is a hole. You will not put the wood dowel, you'll put it next to it. So do not put the hole wherever there is a cam at. So on your D panel, you're putting 8. There's basically 2 on each corner. And then on your F panel, there are 4. Again, 2 on each corner. And again, notice placement, cam hole, not there, inside ones. On your Z panel, there's 4, 2 at the top and 2 at the bottom. X, same thing, 4, 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom. Your Y, there's 4, 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom. And on your O1 and O2 panels on one side, there are 2. On step 1, part 3, you're going to gather your V1, your V2, your L1, L2, and L panels, and that your bag that is labeled C3 cam bolts. And again, we want to show you the difference here. This is your C3, this is your C1. You've already put your C1s in, so make sure you're just using the silver ones. And we'll go panel by panel here. On the V2, there are 10 total. These ones will actually go into the wood holes and not into the metal holes that you put your C1s in, but 10 there. On V1, again, 10 kind of all in the center here. On your L panel, it's 6 total. And on your each L2 and L1, they're getting 1 on each. On steps 2 and 3, you're going to find your Z and your Y panels and grab your remaining S1 screws, which are the little silver screws, and your left and your right rail. And you're going to place your right rail onto your Z panel, screwing into the pre-drilled holes with your S1 screws. Kind of notice placement here. The plastic piece is facing towards the cam bolt here and the holes. And then on your Y2 piece, the cams are facing here and the inside is here. Then we also, in a previous step, we're just going to show you because it's a little bit easier. You want to flip your Y panel over and grab your C1 cams, and you're going to put them into this spot here. In step 4, you're going to gather your X, your D, and your Z panels, and we're going to seed them together. And essentially, you want to get your cam bolts and your dowels to line up, and you'll just pound them in. And now we're going to notice some placement here. There are 4 cams on the back side that you need to tighten, and you're going to turn them 180 degrees. So there, here, over here, and here. So on the D panel, all your cams are going to be facing out. The cord hole will be on the bottom right side. And if you notice your Z panel as well, placement here, you need to have this little hooky thing up at the top. On step 5, you're going to grab your Y panel and your F panel, and you're going to push your F onto your Y and tighten the 2 cams. And then you want to seed them into your X panel, so you'll seed them in and then tighten the 2 cams underneath here as well. And again, placement-wise, notice on your Y panel that the little hooky thing is at the very top, just the same as it is on your Z panel. In step 6, you're going to get your G panel and you're going to get your T2 casters and your B1 bolts, and you're going to screw all 4 casters and all 4 bolts in, and you can tighten them down with your hand, but you can also use the Allen wrench that came to tighten them all the way down. Once you've completed all 4, you'll flip it over and take your C1 bolts, and you're going to screw in 8 of them. And remember, your C1s will go into the metal bracket, not the larger hole that's the wood dowel. On step 7, you're going to grab 2 people because you need to flip the cabinet over. Make sure you're supporting Y as you're doing it. So you're just going to flip it over onto its bottom. And you're going to grab your G panel that you've just inserted all the casters and cam bolts in. Line up all 8 of these on and seat it in. And you're going to just kind of finagle it down. Once you've done that, you need to turn again your cams 180 degrees. There'll be 8 of them that need to be done. So on each panel, there are 2. On step 8, you're going to grab your A3 platform, your airlift, and your bag of S1 screws, and you're going to screw down your airlift to your platform on the bottom, and there's some pre-drilled holes. So screw those down. There's 2 screws on each side. Then you're going to cut the zip strip that's around the airlift. Leave the wood block in there. It's really important to leave that in there, but cut this and remove it. And with some WD-40, we do recommend that you spray down your white glides here, as well as any of the mechanisms on the inside of the lift. Continuing on with step 8, I would lock the casters down on your cabinet, and you're going to take the platform and the lift that you've already assembled and put it into the cabinet. And you got to line up the 4 glides, so 2 on each side on each of the rails, and then wrap the metal wire around the hook as we've done here, and then you'll press down gently and you should release that wood block. So you're going to go all the way down to the bottom and all the way back up and then down, and you'll hear that wood block kind of pop out. And so you want to go underneath it, grab it, and get it out of the way. For step 9, you're going to get your top panel A, and we do recommend first taking out the platform that's inside of there, but you're going to seed your platform A onto your X, your Y, and your Z and D panels. There are 8 total cam bolts that need to be locked down, so you're going to get it lined up, press it down, and then come over and tighten each of those turns again 180 degrees. And again, with this, you want to watch your placement here. Make sure your magnets are facing in the front. On step 10, you're going to gather your L1, your L2, your L3, and your L panels to make your little drawers. And essentially, you're attaching your L2 and your L1 to the sides of your L3, and then you're going to pop your L on to all 3 of those, and then make sure you tighten down all of the cam bolts that are associated with that, and it'll make a little box. And you'll notice over here on V1, this is how it's going to look on your door. And this leads us right into step 11 then. You're going to grab your F1 dowel holders, and you're going to pop those onto both your V1 and V2 panels, just like that, and then underneath, from underneath, tighten them down by turning the cam 180 degrees. The next thing you're going to grab is your O1 and your O2 panels, and you're going to seed those right onto the cam bolts and connecting or the bolts, cam bolts and wood dowels just like that, and then again tighten it down. And lastly, grab your H2 hinges and your S2 screws and screw that onto your O1s and your O2 panels. And notice that the O1 will go onto your V1, your O2 will go onto your V2, and then placement for the hinges, the larger side, this side, is going here. On your final step, step 13, you're going to take your V1 and V2 doors and attach them to your side panels X and Z. And essentially you've already put your hinges on, so you're going to use the remaining S2 screws. We do recommend having 2 people, one to hold the door while the other one is screwing it on. But the V1 door will go on the left side, the V2 will go on the right side. Now that you've completed your cabinet, if you want to cover up these unsightly cams, we did send along stickers that match the grain of the wood. So there's plenty of stickers in here to cover all of the additional little silver cams.